Academy has at any one time 100 Royal Academicians. They are the greatest living artists and architects of their time. They're elected by their peers, and I'm delighted to say that we have one of them with us today. And Conrad Shawcross is an artist, and welcome. Come on down, Conrad. Let's hear it for Conrad Shawcross, everybody. Lovely to see you.
Hi.
Before I carry on introducing you, Conrad, I just want to check you're all set to go, by the way.
Yes, I'm good. I'm very good.
Let me just say one thing that we have noticed and admired about you, Conrad, and one of the many reasons we invited you to be with us. You blend art, you're a world-class sculptor, you blend art and science, you help us to rethink the world around us, and we're so grateful for you being here today. It's not every day you get to stand on stage with someone like Conrad, so ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Conrad Shawcross. Welcome.
Thank you. So it's actually quite serendipitous because I have a show on at the moment called Quantum Untangled, so it was great to follow on from that brief talk. I did the work in that show comes from a residency I did in Nottingham 2 years ago, where I was working in the gravity lab, where they were studying black hole mergers and the early universe. And one of the things that was very, very striking about that residency was that as an artist, I've used metaphor and analogy in my work for 30 years now. And I've sort of been, I'm really trying to represent things that we can't see or experience in terms of either our physiological kind of perception or our constructed realities. I'm trying to go beyond things that we experience. And so the Gravity Lab was extraordinary because they use analogy of, they've built these vortexes in liquid helium where they're studying the turbulence around a black hole. If we can play my film as well while I'm doing this. They study the turbulence around black hole because the turbulence is analogous to the gravitational waves that create when you have a black hole merger. So I was really struck by that because for 25 years I've been making rope machines, and I make rope machines that make rope very, very slowly. And I think without exception, machines can be defined in two ways, with the exception of musical instruments. That a machine is being built to do something faster or more accurately than a human can. So if you make a machine, all the rational design and engineering, but it's doing something slower than a human can do, it's actually quite bamboozling, it's quite confusing. So this machine only makes about 2 meters of rope a day, incredibly slow. But every arm on this machine is a different length, every spool is a different thickness, and there is no common denominator in the gearing. So these 135 spools are analogous to our solar system, in which we have 9 planets, 891 moons. But in reality, our society has spent thousands of years trying to find the grand design, the architecture of our solar system. And we've tried to find yearning for that architecture, that kind of meaning, that God or that creator. And actually we now know that the universe, there is no midnight in the solar system. The planets and the moons will never realign at zero. Whereas this machine at one point started aligned. Once it starts, it never comes back. It takes 2.5 billion years to repeat. Marcus de Soito actually corrected me slightly awkwardly in a speech like this. And I said the machine is non-repetitive. And Marcus de Soito said, actually, it is repetitive. And I said, well, how long will it take? And he told me that figure. So I was like, right. So I said, for all intensive purposes, it's non-repeating. The sun will have consumed the earth by that point. So this machine makes it's called umbilical, and it makes a rope that every cross-section of that rope is unique. And so it's irrational, it's chaotic, it's basically, you can lie in these beanbags underneath it, and you contemplate the scale of time, on many different levels, because we exist in sort of human time, which is, I guess, the plane of the elliptic, and while our sense of time is defined by our journey around the sun, and that gives us and if we're lucky, we'll live for 80 or 90 years in that journey around the sun. But if, like similarly with earlier when we were asked to zoom out from this room, in terms of we travel around the sun, but then the sun now we know is traveling at 500,000 miles per hour towards a black hole, and we are obediently helixing around the sun as we journey towards that black hole. And it takes 230 million years for our sun to rotate around our galaxy. So a galactic year is 230 million Earth years. And what's extraordinary is the sun, in terms of its own annual age, is only 20 years old. And the sun will die when it's 28. So the sun is already halfway through its life, and within 8 years of its own annual experience, it will die out. But we are in this spiral galaxy, and the sun is really just this tiny, fleeting ember in which we exist in all of our infinite kind of experience and our kind of realities. But it is there's this sort of ocean of stars within our own galaxy, and then beyond that there are trillions of galaxies within that. And we now know there are 10 times more galaxies than we did 10 years ago. So it's gone up 10x in terms of our understanding of the universe. So my work is about trying to get away from things like the clock, the constructed reality, where you've got a 12-hour day, which is or 24-hour day, which there's no known reason why we've got 24 hours in a day. It could have been 36. It could have been. We know there's an AM and a PM because of the night clock and the solar clock and the night and using sand and shadows. But beyond that, they could have been very different. So the tick-tock of time could have been very, very much faster or much slower. So a lot of my work tries to unravel these senses of reality. This piece is now just being deconstructed. Some of it's on a fast time lapse, but some of it shows the real speed. It's heading to Tasmania, where it will be installed permanently in the Museum of Old and New Art in Tasmania. So it's going very far away, and every year you replace the spools, and it carries on making this ticker tape of time, this almost like an ice core, because every cross section is unique. Finally, I make work that goes all over the world. I have big projects in Saudi Arabia. I'm a great believer in doing things in-house. So at the moment, in my studio in Hackney, we have lathes, we have mills, we have very cutting-edge digital technologies. Everything at the end is an analog experience. So I try to position myself making unrivaled analog experiences in an increasingly digital world. So that's my kind of mission. I'm trying to build I was going to talk about a sort of prop I brought along, but actually seeing some of the talks before, I thought it was more appropriate to talk about. I'm trying to build a very ambitious studio research facility where it's crossing the bridge with partnerships with universities like Nottingham, Manchester, Brighton, where we're kind of involving scientists in trying to pioneer low carbon pathways. It'll also be a sculpture park. It'll be a kind of innovation centre, so it'll be a cultural destination in East Sussex. And I'm working with the Architects Assemble. We're sort of at the beginning of this journey, but I would love to talk to anyone here in government or people interested in funding about trying to create this really state-of-the-art kind of research place that also will export works all over the world in a kind of the most sustainable way possible. Because one thing that, as an artist, that just takes away from the pleasure is just knowing that it has this kind of carbon impact. So trying to detether and what we're all trying to do, to detether our kind of wealth or our prosperity from our carbon footprint is something that's, as an artist, is incredibly important. Thank you.